Are you a software developer or a low-code builder looking for a fast and functional way to build automations? If you'd like to use an automation provider that gives you the freedom to enhance your automations with custom code, sync your projects to GitHub, and easily write any API call you'd like, then you should check out Pipedream. Today, I'm going to show you how to get started. Hi, I'm Tom from XRay.tech, the workflow company. At XRay, we use tools like Pipedream to build automated workflows for our members and clients. If you'd like to learn more about XRay and our services, check out our website at xray.tech. To see more automation tips and tutorials every week, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new way to save time. In this video, I'm going to tell you what Pipedream is and give you a sense of how it stacks up to competitors like Zapier and Make. Then, I'm going to show you how to build your first automated workflow in Pipedream. After we've built the basic two-step workflow, we'll give it some enhancements with a formatting step, some custom code, and conditional logic. Before we get started today, I'd like to thank Pipedream for sponsoring this video. Just note that any opinions I'm sharing today are my own, as always, and are not necessarily shared by the Pipedream team. Now let's dive into it. First, what is Pipedream? Pipedream is an advanced automation provider. It lets you build automated workflows by connecting web apps together. So when a triggering event occurs in one web app, the automation will start running and will perform actions in one or more other web apps. Now, for seasoned no-code builders, this probably sounds very similar to Zapier or Make. And you can use Pipedream as a no-code platform if you'd like. They have pre-built integrations for over 2,000 apps and counting, and you can automate your work with these integrations without needing to write any code at all. However, what makes Pipedream really stand out is the extensive support for custom code. On their site, they promise code-level control when you need it and no code when you don't. And in my experience, that's true. Pipedream gives you the speed and convenience of a no-code platform with everything being deployed and hosted on Pipedream servers. There's no need to set up an instance of Heroku or something just to move data from one app to another. But it also gives you the flexibility of adding custom code when you need it, and that goes way beyond just giving you a plain text editor to paste a function or two. The code editor in Pipedream features syntax highlighting and suggestions, so you can write JavaScript, Python, Golang, or Bash, with many of the same features you'd expect from your favorite IDE. On top of that, you can also sync your Pipedream projects to GitHub for robust version control. This is a really nice feature for keeping track of your changes. And if an app that you want to automate isn't natively supported in Pipedream, you can always write custom API calls. Features like environment variables make it easy to securely use API keys for authorization when you write your API requests. Another unique and extremely useful feature in Pipedream is the ability to adjust the timeout window for each automation. By default, each workflow will wait up to 30 seconds to run each step, but you can raise that all the way up to 12.5 minutes on a premium plan. Your workflows will consume more credits if they use a longer timeout window, but this can be an indispensable feature if your automation relies on lengthy actions. For instance, you might need to wait a while for an AI to process a long prompt. If you're a software developer looking for a fast way to build an automation without compromising on functionality, Pipedream is a great pick. It's the perfect tool for connecting your internal or legacy systems to modern commercially available web apps. Pipedream is also an ideal choice for low-code builders who want more control over their automations. Additionally, for anyone looking to build a HIPAA-compliant workflow automation, Pipedream is an option. They will sign a BAA provided that you speak with their team and explain your use case. You can check out the resources board for a link with more details. Now that we've covered the basics, I'm going to quickly show you how to build your first automated workflow in Pipedream. This process will be very straightforward to follow for everyone, regardless of your technical background. To begin, we'll create a very simple automation. When we add a custom label to an email in Gmail, the contents of that email will be automatically sent to Slack. Once we've built that initial automation, we'll add some additional features, like conditional logic to automatically summarize long emails with OpenAI. However, this tutorial isn't really about these specific apps. Our goal is to show you how Pipedream works using this software as an example. Automating with other apps will follow very similar principles. You can follow along with us on a free Pipedream plan. You will need a paid plan to deploy the finished workflow, but you can still build and test it without starting a subscription. There's also a free trial available if you'd like to explore Pipedream's premium features. To begin, sign into Pipedream and create a new project. Give your project any name you'd like. In Pipedream, every workflow needs to belong to a project, which can include multiple workflows as well as file stores and variables. In the Resources tab, click New to create a new item, and select Workflow to make a new automation. Give your workflow a name. For now, we'll just leave these settings to their defaults and click Create Workflow to get started. Every workflow needs to begin with a trigger. Click Add Trigger, then choose an app where your trigger will occur. For our example, that will be Gmail. Then, choose the specific triggering event you want. For us, that will be New Labeled Email. So our automation will run whenever a label is added to an email. Next, you'll need to authorize the app used in your trigger. The authorization requirements will vary based on the app in question. For Gmail, you'll just need to sign in with a simple OAuth portal. In other apps, like OpenAI for instance, you'll need to provide an API key. You can now configure your trigger settings. Different triggers will have different settings, but they typically let you set filters and limits on what data to watch for. For this new labeled email trigger, we can choose a specific label that Pipedream will watch for. The workflow will only run for that label. We've already created a custom send to Slack Pipedream label, and we'll choose that here. You can also change the timer setting to choose how often your workflow will search for new data. Some shorter intervals will require a paid plan. Once you've configured your trigger, click Save and Continue. Now, you'll need to load some test data into your workflow. You can either use real data retrieved from your trigger app or automatically generate mock data with Pipedream. We generally recommend creating your own test data so that you can control exactly how it's set up. For our test data, we've added the Send to Slack label to an email in our Gmail inbox. This is the event that Pipedream found and is alerting us about here. We can click on the dropdown to see more details about it and select it as our test data. The test was successful, and under this Exports tab, you can see all of the data that the trigger retrieved for use in our automation. Clicking on these toggles will display additional information. So under Decoded Contents, we can see the email's body, and under Parsed Headers, we can see things like the email address and the name of the sender, among other data. One cool thing about Pipedream is that you can actually set up multiple triggers within a single workflow. That is not something you can do with any other automation provider, and it's a convenient way to start the same automation from multiple points. However, we're going to keep things simple and just use one trigger in our example. So now let's take some of this data and send it to another app. For our example, that will be Slack. Click Continue and choose an app for your next action. We'll search for Slack. Next, we'll need to choose an action. Note that if you don't see the action you want to perform in your chosen app, you can always choose to build a custom API request instead, or use AI to generate a custom action. But that won't be necessary for us, since we just want to use the pre-built send message action. And now we need to authorize Slack. That will require signing into Slack if you're not signed in already, and clicking Allow here. Just like with triggers, the settings for any action in Pipedream will depend on the app and action in question. But typically, you'll need to specify where you want to create or update data, and what the data is you want to create or edit. If you're not sure what the settings are for, or what your options are, you can just read the provided help text. So for Slack, we need to pick the channel type. Then we need to specify the channel. And finally, we need to compose the message in this text field. In most data fields in Pipedream, you can enter text directly, and you can provide dynamic data retrieved from previous steps in the workflow. This message will include both. You can access dynamic data from this window that pops up. It will all be sorted under Event and other headings specific to each app. For instance, we can find the sender's email address under this Parsed Headers toggle. Just click on Select Path to insert any variable into a field. By inserting the from.email path into our message, we'll make sure that the Slack message displays an address retrieved from the email that triggered the message in the first place, not just a static email address. We'll also include the send date and time along with the email body. That's the decoded content variable. All of the required fields are finished, but I want to quickly configure a few optional settings to send the message as a bot with a custom name and emoji. I'll also make sure that the links are not unfurled. Once your message is fully configured to your liking, click on Test to run your action. In this case, that will send a message in Slack. Our test was successful, and we can see the details about the message sent in the Exports tab. In Slack, we can see the message that was sent too. Your first automated workflow in Pipedream is all set, and you can click Deploy to start using it. Once it's deployed, the automation will run on your chosen schedule to check for new emails with your custom label. So this automation works just fine, but it's a very basic setup. There are a few things we can do to make it better, and these quick improvements will also introduce you to a few key features and concepts in Pipedream. Let's go over formatting, custom code, and conditional logic. This date and time is okay, but the time formatting is a bit awkward. We don't really need a timestamp that includes seconds and the time zone. Thankfully, Pipedream has built-in features for easy data formatting. I'll pause the deployed workflow so it doesn't run while I'm making edits, and I'll start editing it. After the trigger, I'm going to add a new action and search Format and choose the Formatting app. This is a built-in utility created by Pipedream. There are several options here for converting to JSON, comparing dates, extracting URLs, and a lot more, but I just want date-time format. With this action, we can just enter the date-time value we want to format. Then, we can choose the format we want to use instead. If you're not sure of the syntax to provide, just click on the link in the help text for more info. I'll go with the long preset, enclosed in curly brackets. Then I'll test to make sure it looks right. Looks good. I'll update the Slack message to use this reformatted datetime value instead of the original. Next, while the Slack message looks good overall, this particular email is awfully long. I don't know about you, but I certainly don't have time to read all that. Wouldn't it be nice if this automation could just give us a summary of any email that's longer than, say, 1,000 characters? Well, it actually can do precisely that. All we need is some conditional logic and an OpenAI step, or Claude if you prefer. To begin, we'll need a way to determine the length of each email. There are two ways you can do this, either with custom code or with an expression built into the conditional logic. Even though it's not really the ideal way to do it, I'll start with custom code because I want to show you how custom code works in Pipedream. After the formatting step, I'll add another action and choose Run Custom Code. This will default to JavaScript, but you can choose Python, Golang, or Bash. If you're a web developer, this will all be pretty straightforward and familiar. If you're not experienced with JavaScript, just know that this Run Steps line here is going to import all of the data from the previous steps in the automation so we can easily reference it in our code. I'm just going to add one line to create a variable called body length, and I'm going to set that variable to be equal to the character length of the email body. Note that helpful suggestions come up as you type, making it easy to find what you're looking for. Now, I'll just append .length to this, so it will find the length of the decoded content in characters. And finally, so that we can retrieve this variable in future steps, I'll return it. I'll give this step a test, and we can see the returned character length. Definitely over 1,000. Now, let's add conditional logic to evaluate that number. Add a new action, and under control flow, choose if else. Here, you'll need to specify the condition to evaluate. I'll start by checking if the body length variable is greater than 1,000. We can test this condition. And we see that this data would have passed. It is greater than 1,000, so the automation would continue along this first path. If the number was not greater than 1,000, then it would continue along the second path. However, we don't really need the full custom code step to do this. Instead, we can just enter the decoded content path in the condition itself, then append the .length function here before the curly brackets. So the custom code step isn't really necessary here. This one expression will accomplish the same thing for our purposes. Most simple actions can be performed in Pipedream without code, so you'll likely only use custom code for more complex tasks, like array comparisons or complicated loops. But I still wanted to give you a brief example of how it works to get a little practice with it. Now, let's quickly finish up this workflow. In this first path for data that passes our condition, in other words, for really long emails, I'll add a ChatGPT step that sends a prompt asking to summarize the email. Note that you'll need to be set up with an OpenAI API billing plan to use a ChatGPT step like this. You can learn more about that in the video linked on your screen now. I'll copy and paste the Slack message into this path and update it to include ChatGPT's summary instead of the original message. I'll give the ChatGPT step a test and check the output. Looks good. Finally, I'll drag and drop the original Slack message step into the else path for shorter emails. So now, this automation will run every 10 minutes to check for emails with the send to Slack label. If the email's body is longer than 1,000 characters, it will get an AI summary from ChatGPT and send us the summary in Slack. If it's a shorter email, then it will just send us a Slack message with the original email body. This automation is all set. You can click Deploy to commit your changes, but since this workflow uses some conditional logic, you will need a paid plan to complete deployment. If you haven't yet, it's time to kick off that free trial. While we're on the subject, let's wrap up this beginner's guide with a quick look at Pipedream's pricing. First, let's explore how credits work, since they're a key part of Pipedream's pricing scheme. Your workflow's data and bandwidth usage is measured in credits. When you create a new workflow, it will use a 30-second timeout window and will include 256 megabytes of memory. With these settings, your workflow will consume 1 credit when it runs, regardless of how many steps are in it. This is quite a bit different from Zapier and Make, which charge you for a task or operation for most steps in your workflow. Both models have their pros and cons. With Pipedream's setup, you're not punished for making long, complex automations. However, with Zapier's approach, you can process an unlimited amount of data. The better choice will depend on your specific use case and priorities. In Pipedream, longer timeout windows and more memory will require more credits. You can see how many will be used when you adjust the settings. So now that we understand how credits work, let's take a look at the available pricing plans. The free plan will give you everything you need to try out Pipedream and build a few workflows. Like with most automation providers, the free plan won't be a suitable long-term choice for business-critical automations. For $45 a month, the basic plan will let you build 10 active workflows and will provide you with most of Pipedream's core features, along with 2,000 credits each month. However, you'll need the advanced plan at $75 a month to unlock premium apps like Jira, Shopify, Stripe, and Zendesk. You can find a full list of premium apps along with detailed pricing information in the resources board linked in the description. The advanced plan also includes conditional logic like the if-else action we created in this tutorial, as well as unlimited active workflows. The business plan enables syncing with GitHub, as well as a long list of advanced technical options. You'll need to contact Pipedream's sales team to get a quote for the business plan. For both the basic and advanced plans, you can get a considerable discount by paying on an annual basis instead of monthly. If you ever exceed your monthly allotment of credits, you'll just need to pay an additional fee based on how many credits you use. The more credits you need, the better your rate will be. So you don't really need to worry about your automations stopping suddenly if they're running a lot in a given month. But if you want to stick to a specific budget, you can enforce a credit limit in your account's billing settings. I'd say Pipedream's pricing is comparable to or better than Zapier. The basic plan is a bit more expensive than a similar Zapier option, but an advanced Pipedream plan is $30 less a month than a Zapier team plan. Beyond their base pricing, Pipedream offers additional credits at a more affordable rate when compared to Zapier's tasks. Adding 100,000 tasks to a Zapier team plan costs $600 a month compared to $450 a month for the same number of credits in Pipedream. And that gap only gets wider as you purchase a higher volume of credits. It's also worth remembering that a task in Zapier is just one automated step, while a credit in Pipedream can potentially represent an entire workflow depending on your timeout and memory settings. So if you're automating at a large scale and using millions of tasks or credits each month, Pipedream will be the more affordable option by far. With Pipedream, building flexible low-code automations is fast and easy, and for more technical users, adding custom code to extend the functionality of your workflows is just as simple. If you'd like to sign up for Pipedream after following along with this tutorial, be sure to use the link in the resources board. You can find that in the video's description. If you're looking for implementation support to get your team started with Pipedream, just schedule a free discovery call on our website. We can help you automate and streamline even the most complicated workflows. If you've enjoyed this video, prove you're human, like and subscribe for more automation tips every single week. If you'd like to learn more about low-code automation and workflow design, follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook, and you can find all of our content on our website at xray.tech. You can find all those links in the resources board down below, and as always, find your focus and stay in flow.